Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the next episode of our Euros magazine. We are four teams, none richer. Six teams, eight teams. No, we're four teams, none richer at the moment.
Yep.
I would say because we're heading into the semis. Um, those were quite some quarterfinals we got to see. As always, I brought you the one that knows most of all. When women's football is a topic, I brought you Sophie Lawson. She's she's being humble, folks. She still knows everything and all there is to know about international women's football, at least for this tournament, Sophie. So tell us, which semi-final did excite you the most?
Which semi-final or which quarter-final?
Quarter. Sorry.
Um, I think overall, I would probably say Italy, Norway. I liked the first 78 minutes of Sweden, England. And then it kind of went downhill. Spain, Switzerland was a bit one-sided, although the Switzerland defended so well. And Germany, France wasn't overly exciting. I think, I mean, we'll get into all of them, but I think just for kind of not knowing what was going to happen and seeing both teams playing their best so far, Norway, Italy for me was the one that stood out. It was the one that started everything. So,
Yeah, that was a good one, actually. I was watching it with a mate, and then I told him, well, you can uh, prepare to get home late. We'll be here a while. And then he was like, no. This one's gets is getting settled. And I'm like, no, it's not. Look at what's happening. It's totally equal. And then he was right in the end. Uh, might I say, somewhat a little surprising that Italy ended up settling it at the time that they did.
mm. Yeah, I thought I was really worried for Italy when Norway really started building that pressure in the second half, and Italy just couldn't get anywhere near the final third for so long. I thought, and then one good chance getting forward, and Cristiano Girelli again. Who else?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she did very well, but Italy also did well coming into that game, so they were ready. But I think just like against Spain, of course, Spain is a much harder opponent, but also against Portugal, I thought the Belgium game was its own story. I think that one you can't compare too much, but in all those three games, they start very well and then they break in and then they get back, but they wake up late. What is that kind of a siesta, Italian siesta they're having?
Just a little pasta break in the middle. I think I kind of I feel like I've said it on here before, but I think there was so much nerves around Italy and just trying to get out the group stage that you could see that they were playing. So especially in that Portugal game, they started really playing nervously. And yes, Moraes made a good few saves and really good saves in that game. But likewise, Belgium, like they weren't playing expansive, they weren't dominating as they should have been. And it wasn't until hey they got through, they're in the knockouts for the first time. I think what since '97 or something.
Yeah.
Or um that we saw them finally relax. They started the game so well and they looked comfortable. They looked like they were just playing their best football. And I think I'd love to see them carry that kind of yeah, no, it doesn't matter. We're just going to play football into the England game. But I think now the pressure returns because they're so close to the final. So I think it's a kind of a game, like a mental game with Italy with what's going on. But hopefully we just see them playing good football because that's what they can do. They've had some really good results under André, and hopefully they just keep that belief going.
Yeah. Norway had been disappointing up until then. I think they kind of, I mean, again, with the game against Iceland, which just was fun because there were so many goals. I think they started actually making amends. I think this game, or at least 40 minutes of this game, maybe 50, actually also work in their favor. They started playing football. It
Yeah,
just took them way too long.
Yeah, I think they needed to respond, and that's what they did in the second half. And it's always frustrating for a team to finally start playing their best football, and then that's when they lose. That's the game they lose. I think we saw that happen with Japan in their home Olympics. Japan should not have gone out the group stage, but then they ran into Sweden, but they played their best game and went out. I think slightly similar Norway, very lucky to get out of the group stage, finally played their best football and went out. But at least they went out fighting and trying, and there's something there from them and a goal, and maybe it could have, but it's for as bad as they played across the four games. I think that's not a bad result with the context of the football they've been playing, and it was nice to see Granger keep the faith in their senior Gobset and start her for the quarter as well. I think that was really nice, and she brought a lot to the team, and it.
Some of our colleagues here in Switzerland were referring to Norway still being a broken side, the distrust in Ada Hegeberg. What do you see into that? What have you seen from that? I wouldn't agree particularly.
I think Granger really trusts Hegerberg. I was talking to a friend. Oh gosh, I think it was during the first game, the Switzerland game, and she was saying, "Well, why is it Hegerberg? Why isn't it
Mhm.
Turland? Turland's hold up plays great, blah blah." Blah. And then Ada scored, and I was like, and this was when she'd said, "Oh, it should be Turland." I said, "Well, like Ada's got the responsibility. She's really great. Like she loves a header." And then she scored, and I just went, "She loves a header." Um, I think there's the kind of there's two parts to Hegerberg, right? There's Hegerberg, the footballer when she was at her best, and we haven't seen her at her best since her injury. And it wasn't just an ACL she had to come back from. She bounced then from injury and illness, and it took her a very long time to get her body back to a good place. Um, but we're not just talking about Ada, the footballer that we all sort of remember as the Ballon d'Or winner, and that, what was it, 2016 best player in Europe. But what we know from her, like other Ballon d'Or winners, is she just takes the responsibility. She wears it like a backpack. It sits on her shoulders, and she still stands tall. And I think when you've got Norway who have their history in women's football, when you think about Hegerisa, Lina Medellin, like all those players from the 80s and into the 90s who did so much for the game, you have so much pressure, and then you've got a team with Ada, with Carol, with Goro, and there's pressure there as well. If there's anyone on that team who can stand up and just bear the brunt of that expectation of an entire nation, it's a player like Ada. It's, like we see for Nati and Pateas with Spain. It's the same, that they can just stand up to it, and I think that's why there's so much faith from Granger, at least when it comes to Ada. Even though she hasn't played her best football this tournament, she hasn't played her best football in a few years.
I think it's always a toss up, because you want to rely on this kind of players for their moment, but sometimes you need to accept that maybe these moments are gone or they're very far in between. I think with Hegerberg, we're facing a young player, but also a player who everyone knows they need to mark down, and maybe the Norwegian game hasn't caught up to that situation, like the game of Portugal with the men's side had to catch up to Cristiano Ronaldo being doubled and tripled and so on. And I think maybe she just needs some attacking partners as well to make it look easier to have it work easier. But yeah, you just have to not miss that moment because I think in Switzerland we actually got lucky in the unlucky case that Bachmann missed out, because otherwise we would have invested so much energy into that player who wasn't able to deliver anymore on that level. And she hadn't been for years. People talk about the Sweden goal. They talk about the penalty in the World Cup against Philippines, which I'm like, come on, honestly. Even though looking at this tournament penalties seem to be a very tough thing, but let's get to that later. But we would have had that same issue, the Sweden goal in the Euros in England, which you might have been in the stadium for. Uh,
Uh, not this.
Milton
I
Keynes,
didn't.
I think, or Sheffield.
Yeah, no, I only the only game in that group that I saw was Sweden versus the Netherlands, the first game in that group. I didn't
Okay,
see any of the Swiss games.
so you
Um,
sacrificed that group for
it
traveling.
I think the games were in Lee and Sheffield, and Lee
Exactly,
is
yeah.
horrible to. I go to so many trips to Lee from Manchester United. I hate going there. It's just I don't drive, so it's that little bit more annoying to get to. And I was on duty elsewhere. I was going up and down the country, up and down the country, looking for good football. And I knew I would not find it with Switzerland at that tournament, unfortunately.
Well, you were smart, but there she scored a goal which she actually only gets to score because she didn't believe in the play anymore, and the ball then sort of lands to her feet, and yeah, from 14 meters out, she still hits the target if it's empty. So kudos to her, but yeah, that was one of the last times she actually was able to provide that kind of magic, and I think Hegeberg still can provide it. Maybe Norway needs to adapt their play. Now they found their master in Italy with the way they did it. I mean, to open themselves up that much straight before, that really showed they didn't want to go into overtime. They got successful, and now everyone is wondering, is Giuliani still holding it together? She seemed to have issues with her. How do you say that in English? In German, it's Adduktoren.
Oh,
Her
her
yeah,
abductor muscle. Yeah.
yeah. She
Oh,
seemed to
her
have
yeah,
been issues on her thighs, right?
yeah,
And yeah, the question
yeah.
is, will Italy be informed to play England?
I I really wanted to see Italy Sweden. I would have preferred that. I'm not so if they can just play and enjoy their football rather than worrying about losing, um, that will help. We know that they can play really smart football. They had to be smart to beat Germany. They had to be smart to beat Spain. Yes, statistically, they did very well in those games with what they actually had. But I think we have seen more balance come in from Italy over the last couple of years with Sonchin. Um, they're also going to be fresher than England. They didn't have to play an extra half hour. They didn't have to have the emotional high and come down that comes after a shootout. But it is going to be really, 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 really tough because England will be full of confidence. And as we saw in the last game, if no other time we saw it in the last game, the England bench has so much talent on it. And that's the difference. That was the difference for England this tournament. That was the difference for England last Euros. It's all about who can come on and change things if they need to. And that's what I always worry about with any team facing England is, okay, you can get to an hour, you can get to 70 minutes and you're okay. What happens when Chloe Kelly comes on? What happens when Jess Park comes on? What happens when Aggie Jones comes on? What happens if it's Michelle Agiman? Like that's where teams
Does Italy
lose.
have that depth in the squad? I mean, looking at, but then again, if it was 2018 or maybe 2020, looking at that squad, it would be amazing. But we
Yeah.
have 2025, so that's the question. Those coming from the bench, are they still in their prime?
All of those starting still in their prime. We've seen Barbara Balancea start a couple of games, and again, a player who's had her injuries. She hasn't necessarily been in form at Juventus for a while, but she will run and she'll work. I think it was 2 games ago against Spain. Like Buenos started, Piemonte started. Both had chances that they absolutely like just ruined. Like they just didn't take the ball down properly. They didn't which is why all the focus then goes to Girelli, who should be long beyond her prime, but still doing the job. And you're thinking, right, can Caruso help? Can Cantore help? Can how do Italy find like if Girelli is marked out of the game, what do Italy do? Is it down to like Linardi to score at a corner? What's going to happen? And they just don't have that depth. But I'm interested to see what will happen.
Mark my words, it will be Valentina Bergamaschi coming back to Switzerland 10, 12 years after, 10 years, I think, after she scored the goals. She was top scorer to bring her team up from the second division in Switzerland. And then she actually managed to become Swiss champion 2 years later. Bergamaschi will have her comeback and she will show that she can still do it. She'll get subbed in the 68th minute to mark Chloe Kelly or Jess Carter or whoever is dead on the wing, and then she will have one attack and she will score.
If we're doing that, then we can say Salvi scoring at a corner because Salvi started her career at Rapid Lugano. That's where she was
Yeah,
when she,
Bergamaschi too.
yeah, yeah. I mean, from the 2013 Euro squad, only Salvi and Girelli remain. And Salvi started, I think, every almost every game, and that was when she was a kid and playing in Lugano. So
Yeah,
it's
I missed Selva when back then, but I was here for Bergamaschi, so I believe
yeah,
in her now. But honestly, what do you see is the strength of that Italian team? Which area of the play?
it's a good question. Um, that's a really good question.
I keep getting disappointed because those myths you build around teams over
Yeah,
time. So all my colleagues here, and I've been hearing that too much on panels and so on. They just keep saying, "Well, Italy is great at defending. We know that's the thing." I'm like, "That's the men, and
yeah,
not that's not even true for the men for like
yeah,
15 years. This hasn't been true for the men for like
yeah.
10 years. So please stop pretending, because I think the defense isn't it." Giuliani is an amazing goalkeeper. I think she's really good. She speaks good German, so
She was at Freiburg, wasn't she?
yeah, and she speaks perfect German,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah. Um, I mean, look, mm, even if Italy were a defensive team, they don't have Chiellini, Bonucci, Barzali. They don't have Buffon in goal. Like, it can never be the same. But they've got through to like when Bertolini came in, she wanted the team to play really aggressive attacking football. And when it worked, it was superb watching. In fact, the first time I saw Italy under Bertolini was at the Algarve Cup against Switzerland, and Switzerland got absolutely wrecked by that football. It was
That was
fantastic.
great, Algarve Cup.
That was a young Alicia Lehmann making her kind of
Yeah,
her bow, and she was so good. Whatever
Switzerland
happened?
got really better there, also against Spain.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that later.
Um, I'm not, I think Italy's strength isn't necessarily one part of the pitch. It's kind of that they're steady under Andrea. So maybe they're not amazing, and it's not, oh, the attack is always going to be perfect or the defense is always good. It's just they're kind of steady. I think that's what we've seen, even though they weren't playing great in the group stage, there was a steadiness.
But they won't be able to take that pasta break, as you said, in between, I think, against England.
They're really going to struggle to get that
Because
pizza in, yeah.
England is a bully in the end.
Can
They're
be.
kind of a bully team. So if they sense the weakness, they will start pounding. And with that, let's get into it. I think at the end of this episode, we might need to switch passports because it's traitor o'clock.
What is it? Where is it? It's okay, it's still purple. It's the
Oh,
old one.
yeah. So we can actually switch them. No, it's traitor o'clock. You hinted
I
at
was
it.
so close to being
Because
right.
you were like at the 80th minute, you broke down for you. So that means when England started playing football is when you stopped having fun. I remember at the start of the second half, I texted you Lionmesses.
Yeah.
They were a mess for like 50 to 60 minutes.
Yeah. But Sweden. Sweden didn't get the third goal they needed in the first half, and
Jesus Christ,
Sweden
they
Sweden
would.
stopped playing.
That's the thing. You need to score that third goal, and they had
Yeah.
so many chances. Karnerud, Rolfe, which, yeah, it's incredible to see how much of a yard she's lost since the past Euros, and it's only been 3 years.
Mm.
But she lost them because she, pace-wise, she or were the British players just faster? I don't know, but she
Well,
wasn't as fast as she used to be.
she's coming back from an injury as well. Like, I was
Okay,
surprised she started because she had an injury that took her out for a little while. But they stopped playing. They thought they could hold on to the 2-0, and they did for so long, just have that nice little balance as well. And then they didn't respond as England were getting stronger and stronger. And you see like Adji man come on, kill. And I was, I was talking to someone throughout, and like, if England score one, they will score a second right afterwards. They are a lot like Arsenal, in which even if you have a two-goal lead, it can go like that. Other teams will score one and they will not get a second. England, Arsenal, boom boom. Um,
this is a big issue, you know. Do you know who was champion in Switzerland this summer?
I should know. Civet.
No, it was Young Boys.
Oh,
Why was Young Boys champion this summer? Mostly because I've kept the whole for the whole season. I kept saying that about Servette. Servette were very nonchalant about all the game because they were by far the best squad and they had the most experience. And they just under Barcala, Jose Barcala, who is now taking over Bayern Munich, they were just playing a ball style of football, false nine, and so on, where they just had the ball and they just bored the opposition to death. And I always said about their game, this is very good, it's very nice until you need to raise the intensity, but you can't because you've been playing for so long, for 60, 70 minutes on a very slow pace that you don't then can't switch it back on until the end of the game. And that's what happened to Sweden, I think. Sorry for interrupting you there, but
I know, of course.
Sweden stopped playing when they noticed they couldn't get the third one in. They decided, okay, let's just take a breather, go back. These girls can't do any harm to us. And they were right. At the moment, England wasn't able. But then Sarina Wiegman made the changes. And then they tried. And you noticed after the first goal, they tried to get back into that intensity, but they couldn't because you can't. After you've driven down so much, you can't get back up.
And it was also as soon as they took Aslani off, but she's doing, you can't, like, Aslani was doing so much extra defensive work. You can't replace her with Lina Hurtig, who's in her something 30s. And again, like, her career has been riddled with injuries. I like, Hurtig came on, Yanogi came on. They both kept making the wrong decision. Their touches weren't good, and I'm just getting so frustrated by all of it. Because you could see what was going to happen. I actually thought England were going to win it in extra time, and that would be that. And it went all the way to penalties. And what really bothered me was who Sweden's penalty takers were. It
Yeah.
was midfielder, centre back, goalkeeper, one attacker, fullback. Like, Jakobsen came on, took a bad penalty, is what it is, but Blomqvist came on, Hurtig came on, Janogy came on. I'm not saying, like, if you don't want to take a penalty, don't. But why are all the defenders taking penalties?
Yeah.
Why is your goalkeeper stepping up before any attacker?
If she felt sure, the goalkeeper, go ahead,
Yeah,
have at it.
we
But the
saw it with
thing is,
AKP.
it then fell to the young girl, right?
Yeah, Holmberg, who's a
Yeah, which
kid.
was 18. And you have still Janogy, you have Hurtig who hadn't taken the penalty
Yeah.
yet. And you're like, why? And that's the thing, because they didn't look from the fourth or fifth penalty on.
Mm.
Same with England, actually, mostly. They didn't look like people who want to take on penalties.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get it, you get like eight people who want to take on penalties. That's good, but in this case they didn't, and there you need maturity and also
Mhm.
leadership, and that's what's sometimes still missing in the women's game. Martina Voss-Tecklenburg was doing the commentary for Switzerland, and she was complaining a lot. I found it to be very hypocritical because she used to put all the pressure on the youngsters, but people seem to forget. We'll speak about Martina Voss-Tecklenburg in a moment. You'll hear me. But yeah, in that case, she was right. But we still have to. I mean, come on, honestly,
They weren't good penalties.
that
And
was disgrace. All those penalties, most of the penalties.
I mean, Falk, I can kind of forget, like, she made three saves on the bounce. I can absolutely understand her feeling great in that moment and saying, I can take one. You don't want to take one? I've got this. But then, oh, at least get it on target. I mean, we saw AKB do it against France again. She like just saved a penalty. Or did she? No, that's the Madrid was first. But you could see she was confident. She's taken penalties before, and she got on target. She fired it up perfect. Like, or just get on target first and fucking foremost. Sorry, get on target first and foremost. Um, but it was also Longfist came on in like the 127th minute, and she's taken penalties in her career. She's taken penalties, important penalties
I
for like
think
the
they had
Swedish
two
defenders.
changes late,
And
and the commentator said those are penalty
penalties.
changes, and they didn't take the penalties.
Yeah, they didn't take that.
Yeah, I found that to be crazy. I expected them to actually do a little better. I know England's been for years called a terrible penalty nation, right? But that one was just it was just too much.
They're a bit strange on penalties, England. They beat Nigeria at the World Cup on penalties. They should have lost that game in regular time. They beat Brazil on penalties in the finalissima. That shouldn't have gone to penalties. But they've had more practice with penalties since Sardine has come in, and the players are generally more comfortable. There were some bad penalties in the batch from players who usually take good ones. I also thought Kelly's run up and like her little smirk were ridiculous, but she then took an exceptional penalty. And like, if you're going to be that cocky, if you're going to be that ridiculous, you have to back it up with a good penalty, and she did.
She did.
Um, so I mean,
The stupid question will come now. I don't know if somehow, well, the bloke who did the commentary he just didn't know better, so that's why he didn't ask that. I think in Switzerland. But did you guys in Britain hear the question? Would we have fared better if Mary was in goal?
um, I don't think, I don't think we'd. I can't even remember. It's so many emotions. But you have to remember, like, only there were seven Swedish penalty takers, and Sweden scored two penalties. I and both of them were very good. Like Zigiotti's, no one is saving. I think Björn as well took a really great one. It doesn't make a difference if Merps is in goal. Like what missed. And I don't think it would have made a difference. But yeah, just really and like Argendal stepping up, and you can like you sometimes you see it with players when you step up, like they're gonna miss, and you could see it with Argendal. Ericsson, I think was so close, she unlucky there, hit the post.
I
But,
just really think you need to really, in that case, I would do it. It's easy to say that I would do it because I'm sitting here and I'm
yeah,
nowhere near in the shape of taking a penalty anyway. But if you're Lina Hurtig, if you're Janogy, who had a terrible game, let's face it, was at fault at least once.
yeah,
You need to protect those young ones, especially Hurtig. How many tournaments will she be playing in?
that's
Maybe
gonna be her
one.
last. And I would
Yeah.
assume that's gonna be her last.
So
I
just
think
take the
yeah,
responsibility. You're used to score goals. You should be able to make it. And if you don't, who cares? But you should have been among the first five. But at least now, don't send the 18-year-old out unless she wants
it's
to.
tough. It's tough. I mean, I think we've seen it over the years as well. Maybe not so much with France. We're going to France in a minute, but like PSG in 2017, they were in the Champions League final against Lyon, and they had just lost the Coupe de France to Lyon on penalties as well. And in both cases, it was like a young player stepping up. And like it got through so many players that it was just the kids on the pitch at the end. And like oh, and they didn't look comfortable. They looked scared. So I mean KK ended up taking a penalty for PSG before some of the kids. And but Boadi saved it and then she got all cocky about it and it kind of I think sometimes kids want to something they don't. It's tough. You think about Sweden, who was so close at the Tokyo Olympics, and if Caroline Sager keeps her penalty down, it's on target. Sweden have won the Olympics. That's the last kick of Sager's international career. Olympic gold, perfect. But she skies it. It keeps going, and you see Andersson step up. Andersson after a dreadful game as well against Canada that game. She looked scared. She didn't look comfortable, and she took a bad penalty, and that was that. And I think we saw that from Sweden. I think maybe looking so good in the game, 2-0, England nowhere near, to then be facing down penalties. You're thinking, what have I done wrong? And you think, oh, well, we're not going to win because we've thrown this away. And that starts to creep in. I can't, I'm not a sports psychologist. I don't know. I
Mhm.
don't know. I don't know the individuals, but I think maybe it starts to feel like it's not your day. But you've got Falk saving penalty after penalty after penalty. So that should give you something. But
Yeah, that's the thing. They couldn't capitalize on the momentum the goalkeeper was giving them.
yeah,
Who do you think
it
won it for England in the end? Was it Chloe Kelly?
was
Was
Chloe
it Lucy
Kelly.
Bronze? Everyone was talking about Lucy Bronze, but it's just I know where we still find ourselves where media doesn't take women's football seriously is when they see Lucy Bronze doing her own wrap up of her thigh,
Yeah,
and then they use that throughout the whole thing. Now, today I saw a report on Swiss television. Oh, she's one of the heroes. She will do it. Then I was like, yeah, of course. The hero of England has to be a Portuguese.
yeah. It's I think it was the 2015 World Cup was Lucy Bronze's big breakout tournament. That World Cup started with Alex Scott on the pitch, and then I think we ended up with both of them to try and negate France. I think with Raf on, I can't even remember now. But everyone, oh, her middle name's Tough. It's Lucy Tough Bronze. And it's that's the whole thing about Bronze is she's tough and she stays on and she's a leader and she's X, Y, Z. And we had it on commentary. It was like, oh, look at Lucy Bronze, this leader, this captain, knows England don't have any subs, so she's taping herself up. What an inspiration. It's like it's just bronze, And it's
Yeah,
just bronze.
just bronze. It's not silver and not gold. But she's a tough Portuguese custard
Yeah.
tart. I'm saying I, as a Portuguese,
You-
can
you-
do jokes
don't
like
don't
that.
don't pause between the words.
Yeah,
She's a tough Portuguese. She's a tough pastéis de nata. That's
versteld that exactly.
yeah. If
As
you
a
if you say
Portuguese,
tar in English, it's
I know. It's not. Jamie Tart though has turned it
yeah.
around for everyone.
Tar do tar.
Yeah, that's very good. Um, I have one last question, then we'll have to carry on. But one last question surrounding England. What's this whole Jess Carter business?
Oh, it's racism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but what is it more in the social media, right? It hasn't
Yeah.
been in a stadium because in
No.
Switzerland we weren't sure, and then we were starting looking at each other. Were we racist towards her? But I don't think it was in a stadium, right?
I think her statement very specifically says on social media, but yeah, it's so during the 2021 men's Euros, I think it was, they did a study on the racist abuse suffered by England players throughout the tournament and or just the online abuse for players and who was getting it, and it was Sterling and Rashford, and it was so disproportionate for the young black players. And what we have in England, and not just England, it's everywhere, but so much in England, there is so much tabloid crap around young black players. It's like, look at him showing off, he's flashing the cash. Oh, he bought a house for his mum, and like in such a horrible tone of, like Rashford, who who did so much work over lockdown and trying to make sure that kids in Manchester are fed and not but not under below the poverty line. And people were like laying into him for that. It's like, no, he's doing amazing stuff. What is? But that's, like Carter didn't have a particularly good first game, and I think that is a jumping off point for people. But I don't think anyone played that well against France. But it's so easy when you have these games on BBC One, on ITV1, loads of promotion for these games on TV.
I mean, what you mentioned about Rashford is also the same about Sterling. I mean, I do a lot of quizzes, and it's amazing how well Sterling has done. And Rio Ferdinand has mentioned it a few times. If it wasn't for the racism and all the things they say about Sterling, he would be seen as one of the biggest and the greatest there was in the English game, and because his stats are amazing. Even in the Champions League, he's had over 30 Champions League goals. No one ever talks about it.
It's it's I think it's so much of just the way the tabloids can be in England that they really just tear players down, and they tear English players down regardless. That's a big thing on the men's side. We thankfully don't have that so much in women's football, but that a long history of that in England and just all throughout the season, just going for young black players. But I think look, I think it was earlier on today, Guardian said they're estimating 8 million people will tune in for the Italy game. Of those 8 million people, the amount who would be bothered to go to a WSL game or to even just an England women's game is so low. Those are people who are just tuning in because it's on and they don't care. And they, in that 8 million people, you will have some of the worst people in the country. They're going, England, 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 and will be happy to just hurl abuse at players if they don't think they're playing well. And a big component of that, because there is a huge amount of racism and xenophobia in this country, is the racial component. Which is why we know that young players of color or just players of color get it so much worse. And yeah, I'm glad that Carr at least spoke out about it, and England are going to do something different. They've been taking the knee for a few years now. They're deliberately not taking the knee for the Italy game. They're going to stay stood. But there's there's so much that we need to fix in this country before we go, oh, well, it happens in football. It happens all over society. Um, we are we have a massive problem with racism.
Being
A
a big
massive problem.
fan of English television, which I used to be, I haven't watched too much lately since beloved Sean Locke has passed away. He was the funniest. I liked him a lot. Anyway, um, this is a might be a cultural issue, which is a very good thing because you learn to have a thick skin in England. I think because it's a lot of taking a piss. It's a lot of making jokes at the expense of each other, but it's also a piling on culture, which I noticed very quickly. So all the panel shows, then the tabloids, and then the banter at the pub, and the to find where that line is blurred is a huge problem. And then if you catch the worst people who unfortunately also find football as an outlet, they will then hurl it around. But I was just confused, and a couple of other people here, if it was actually addressed also as at the crowds, which I think it wasn't. So yeah, it's a big issue, and we need to do better, especially hurling that hatred. Actually, it's funny because seeing it being hurled now at young women kind of makes me at an age now where I'm 34, where I'm like, whoa, that shouldn't be right. Also, at a young boy, a man shouldn't have to endure it either, even though they make millions. That doesn't make them targets. So yeah, let's hope people stop with that, or at least we can mitigate it quicker.
Mm,
Last thing I wanted to discuss around those two games, but especially around the England game. But then we look at the Hegeberg, we look at Spain. We look at the Germany game. Penalties, man. Women used to be able to take them. I
Yeah.
remember in 2019 they couldn't because the VAR kept telling them to repeat it. But otherwise, they used to be able to take it. That's because people are now tuning in. In Switzerland, there's some chatter. Well, women can take penalties. What's going on? This is just really this tournament, right?
Yeah, it's the numbers were really low. It was less than 50% were being converted at one point. Um, it's a bit of a strange one. Someone asked, and I kind of offhandedly said it's the altitude. Um, and there is considerably more altitude over there than there is in, Paris or London or wherever. It's strange, and I think it becomes contagious. When you see other players missing and you get in your own head because Adler shouldn't be missing. Nuskin took a really good one and then took a really bad one and then took another really good one. Um, Mariona shouldn't be missing. I think we've had a lot of players miss penalties who are usually quite reliable, and it does happen. Any number of things that can go wrong for a penalty to not hit the back of the net. I think my own personal thing is I hate calling a penalty that hasn't been converted a miss if a goalkeeper has saved it, because that's not a miss, that's a save. And if that was open play, we would say that was a save. I think it's strange. There was one of the games was on ITV or BBC, and the panel was Anitra Sante, Steph Horton, and Nikita Paris. Now, Nikita Paris and Steph Horton both took and missed penalties at 2019 World Cup. And they would have been the great players to ask. Because again, Horton took so many penalties in her career. Paris took a great one to start the tournament at Scotland and then missed a couple. And for reasons unknown, the host asked Asante, who's not the penalty taker. And I was like, no, let me hear from the players who've been taking penalties for England at major tournaments and missed. That's who I want to hear from. What happens in those situations? But it's strange. We've seen some great penalties, we've seen some bad penalties, we've seen some great saves. And it is just weird because you can cap all these missed penalties, all these failed penalties. You're like, oh, well, you can't take penalties.
Uh,
It's just a strange one.
that's weird. It's like having David Beckham and Juninho in a panel, and you're talking about free kicks, and then you ask Gary Neville.
Yeah, go on, guys. Um, I just like let me hear from the people who take them and miss them. Any number of things can happen. Like when Horton took that penalty in 2019, Horton was so reliable for England. For Man City, didn't miss penalties and then missed it.
Hey, come on here,
It
the
happens.
the people here in Switzerland, the pundits, as you might call them. We don't, but you call them like that. They keep referring to the crowd sizes. I think it's a cheap excuse, and they should stop. I'm very happy as well that we were able to fill those stadiums. Don't get me
It's
wrong, I'm
nothing.
very
It's nothing
proud
to
of
do with
it,
crowds.
but don't insult the players.
Yeah,
Oh, they never play in front of 20,000 people, so now they miss penalties. Like, come on. They played at Wembley Stadium in
yeah,
the final, and we're talking about people who have nonetheless played in front of people, and they're very good at their job.
yeah.
So stop with that. My personal thing, or what I joked about with my friends watching it, was like, you know, if in a men's quarterfinals we had reached a point where 50% were missing the penalties, there would be an inspection going on onto that ball.
Yeah,
Ball and footwear. Adidas would be sweating. Don't you think? I mean, I'm
yeah, yeah,
not pointing a finger, but I'm just saying, because
yeah.
those misses, those are bouncy misses. It's like, normally they should go in, but it's just a joke. I think it's just, yeah, players haven't been taking them well, and that's just it. I think,
I
and
mean,
it's
we've
just
had
sad that it's
some.
happening with a lot of eyes on them.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some good penalties and we've had some bad penalties, and we've had some really close to good penalties that were actually bad. It's,
And I
I think we've
remember
just
the
had
last two
everything.
Olympics. I think the penalties were always great. Penalty shootouts in the Olympics, except for Seger, but there was her.
Ugh, yeah, it still
So,
hurts. I mentioned it earlier, but it still hurts. Yeah, I think it's just strange. We've had sort of every type of penalty. in a very short space of time. Uh, yeah, and I think some players. I mean, like Liskin has taken three penalties, and she's taken two good ones and one bad one.
And that one should have actually been the most important one.
Yeah,
But that's the thing. Let's wrap up England and Italy. So
yeah, we've got to move on. We've got to move on.
you'll be crying about England making it to the final
I will be bored
tomorrow,
by England making it to the final.
but they
I
will, right?
Yeah, they're heavy favourites. It would have to take something massive from Italy. I just, I'm one of those people. I always root for the underdog. I can't help it. And Italy are the lowest ranked team. They never get this far in tournaments, or they haven't for almost what, 30 years
Well, for
over.
our lives, I mean, it's been 86, I think I heard the last time, or 87, the last time they.
I think 97 they were in a final that they lost.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, but
I think
it's
that
been
was where it was
forever.
at home. It's been so long.
Yeah, it was Germany at home, maybe.
I think it was 97 the one where they hosted, but then they knocked Germany out. I can't remember. But that was way back when there were fewer teams as well. Um, but it would be so amazing to see them. And it didn't like even if they were playing Sweden in this game rather than Italy, rather than England, I should say, it would still be the exact same. Like to see them in the final. It's romantic, it's lovely, it's gorgeous, it's fun. Um as it is, it looks like we're heading towards a second successive major tournament. Or no, it's not successive because of the World Cup, the Olympics, I should say. Um, but it's probably going to be Spain, England again, and we just saw that a couple of years ago. It's a bit boring.
Yeah, I would say so as well. Also, I just really don't like that home kit. I don't like that. Think it's not beautiful. I
Fair,
really don't. I don't
fair
enjoy
enough.
that red stain, and then it turns white, and then it's the blue shorts, and I don't like that shade of blue. It's just my thing, so I don't want to see
It's
that.
just the kit.
Because I think what is the away kit is like the blue one, right? It's a light
Oh,
blue one, the away kit this year,
yes, yeah,
and
with
that
the
one is
what was it?
nice. I like it.
Yeah.
So, but that's just me talking about something else. Well, let's look into the other semi-final coming up. Looking back to the quarterfinals, um, France complaining. They're not right too, because I mean, come on, you've played 110 minutes at least. If you can't actually add the time, we're talking about 120. You've been 2 hours with one woman more, and you couldn't seal the deal. So shut up. And I think that sums it up, right?
When you throw in all the stoppage time, Germany are playing with 10 players for 2 solid hours. Um, in all that time, France do not score from open play. Yes, Cascarine. The first offside is so
Oh my
marginal,
God,
so marginal.
I
The
hate that.
second is very obvious. But like you can't like Germany haven't been playing well defensively. They have lost their captain. They have lost everyone who has played at right back for them this tournament in that game. Like how you have so many options. You're refreshing. You're bringing fresh players on who should be hurting you. Like, no, 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 no. Like, you had your chance. You had so long to score, and you didn't.
You had 2 hours. You had six changes because with
The extra
overtime
time.
you
Yeah.
get one additional one. Germany had lost a player after 10 minutes, and they switched right away, so they had one change less already. You need to make that happen. And I know I hated that offside because I think we need to change the rule somehow, somewhere, in what capacity whatsoever. I don't know. I think now I actually decided for myself. Now that it's all digital, I think they should just wear a belt, something like that, and just go off that. Because I don't want to see those stupid pictures where they show me that the one uh, one player has a swollen toe, and then it's offside, or where you see one guy's leaning slightly forward and the other's leaning slightly backwards, and then the shoulder and the bum. Come on, no, just make it like a central point, you know. add something of like 5 centimeters if you have it like in the back. Add like 5 centimeters or 10 for the chest area, and then do it like that. And don't show me those stupid computer montages. They just make me more angry. But yeah, that's an angry thing. But I don't remember what player it was. Was it Kashani, or who the one who
Um,
complained in the mixed zone that it
oh,
wasn't
I don't.
deserved? Come on, honestly,
It
two
it
hours you need
was
to score goals. Germany wasn't playing too much. They were trying something, but it was a dead game, honestly.
it was. So I wasn't feeling great when it kicked off, which is 8 p.m. for me. So I started watching it an hour later, and I was live tweeting or live posting about it, and I was like, and I had people sort of responding like, "Oh, wait till you see what happens. Wait till you see what happens." Because obviously they're all like an hour further forward. I'm like, "Oh God, the France are going to score. They're going to score. What? Uh, Extra time. Oh my God, we in it?" They were like, "Yes, you see." Um, and I was so nervous, but then I look back on it and think that wasn't actually a good game at all.
Terrible game.
Um, like Germany defended, that was the best Germany have defended under Christian Vuk. I think like Franzi Kett had a fantastic game. She came in, she's a kid, she's been injured a lot this season. She's naturally an attacker. Janina needed to have a good game, did. Jule Brand ran and ran and ran another fantastic game. Hoffman, Bull, they both ran so hard all game. It was such a good team performance. But I was sitting just watching it, thinking, why isn't he making any substitutions? This team is exhausted. Make some substitute, do something. Like he'd made one change to take off Linda when she was injured. Um, no, they're going to be so tired if you get through. So like you're playing a 10, no, do something. And then like we saw Dahlmann take a penalty, great penalty. We saw Dablitz hit the bar, but again, like he had Mia Schürrle on, she'd been taking penalty. What's going on? Bringing on attackers who aren't taking penalties, or like the Blitz missing one. But they're going to be so tired. They are going to be so tired. Nusken is suspended. Hendrich is suspended. Gwyn is still obviously injured. And they have a day less rest. They played an extra half an hour. They played 2 solid hours with 10 players. They ran themselves into the ground. I don't know how they're going to even be fit to face Spain, who are
They
just
are
going to
just
push them around.
exhausted. But I what I hated about it again, don't take analogies from the men. Everyone
Yeah.
was like, Tournamentsteam, Turniermannschaft. Deutschland ist eine Turniermannschaft. Like, no. They're good. They've been good. They've been better than most other teams before when the other teams didn't take it seriously, when there was no professionalization. They hadn't credit to them. But now the Bundesliga has lost a lot of pace. Their players are not uh, the biggest stars anymore. And honestly, haven't been playing well, and they just got lucky that France was apathic or
Uh,
apathetic. How do you say it in English?
Pathetic. Pathetic.
Not pathetic,
But
apathetic.
Oh, apathetic. Yeah,
Yeah,
they like
had
lethargic
apathy.
and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Apathetic, right?
yeah.
You're giving me
Well,
an
that as
English
well.
lesson, and
No,
pathetic
it's
as
yeah,
well.
it's
Yeah,
it's apathy. Yeah, but I said it all the way to everyone saying, hey France," and France peak in the group stages. That's what they've done for years. And they showed up to the quarterfinals. They weren't clicking in attack. Now I think they had 3 easy games in terms of what their attack needed to do with the defenses they faced. They every defense they played faced kind of went, okay, you can just do your thing. But then they just weren't on the same page in attack at all against Germany, which was frustrating. We didn't see some like individual talent. We didn't see a flow to it.
you didn't see the runs. So I saw
It's
them play
flat.
Switzerland twice before the tournament, right?
Yeah.
In the Nations League, and we saw so many runs. Okay, there too, they conserve the power, but when they made those runs, they made those runs. This time against Germany, I didn't see those runs.
They were just there was something so flat about them, and I don't know if it's having had some of these easier games that they're not really like we said about Sweden during the England game that they couldn't get up to pace. But I just thought I was waiting for a moment from like Clara Matteo or Katoto, someone. I was like, they've got a player who can just do something special, and that's the game over. Um, and it just never happened. And then extra time, surely it's coming, it's coming. No. And then Majri has a bizarre run up,
Oh my
takes a
God,
dreadful
that
penalty,
was
and that's
such a
just the
joke.
tone.
That was just a joke, that run up. Come on.
It's weird. It was like
Who do you
Zaza.
think you're confusing? Yeah, Zaza was a little more ridiculous, but yeah. But honestly, again, bad penalty shootout, even though you have to give it to Berger and Perumagnan.
Yeah.
They're very good. I would say, like people say, these are the two closest to men's goalkeepers we have at the moment. Um, it is what it is. But in the end, France, what they really lacked was an attacking mid, someone with creativity. I think who would play those passes and force the others to do the runs. Some kind of leadership as well. I think you noticed that they have been missing. I'm not saying they should have brought everyone along, Les
Renat
Sommer, Renard, and so on, but maybe it would have helped. Renard would have maybe um, knocked one
taking a
in,
penalty.
knocked one in with her head. If you when you got those lazy free kicks in extra time, and yeah, maybe in those moments you pay the price of not having the experience with you.
It was it's frustrating because it's another quarterfinal exit for France. And it looked 3 years ago, it looked like, hey, they'd beaten that, they'd gone over that curse. And then quarterfinals at the World Cup, quarterfinals at the Olympics, quarterfinals at this Euros. And I think it becomes, even though you're bringing new players in, it's like it's a wall. As soon as you put that shirt on, you know you're out the quarterfinals. And that they played their worst game at the worst time. And just Germany found so much resilience that I have not seen from them under Vuk. I've not seen from them since the last time they played Spain at the Olympics last year. They had to really dig in that game, and yeah, I just wished that they could have done that in 90 minutes, got through, so they wouldn't be so tired for the game coming up.
90 minutes, not decimated, and now with the whole 23 to choose from, because now they actually are down to 19 players. And take away
20, I think.
20, is it 20? Is the girl with the handball? Well, is she not
One
suspended
game.
anymore? Was it
She
only
only got,
one
I thought
goal?
it was two. Yeah, so denial of goal scoring opportunities. That's one.
Yeah.
I thought it was two, but it looks like
Okay.
as perfect for,
So we're
which
down
helps.
20. Two of them are goalkeepers. We're down to 18. So yeah, it would have helped, but Spain, they look dreadful against Switzerland, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Just give me your honest opinion on that game, because I'm known to be a Grinch here in Switzerland. So I'll just let you decide what you're
I
gonna say
mean,
about that game.
I was in Auckland when they played each other in the World Cup. When like 20 minutes in, it was already like 2-1 or something, and Switzerland had a goal without a shot, uh, because of Lionmesses. And then you had the 5-0 and the 7-1. I thought that they actually showed up and defended really well. They really needed to, and I think the goal was to not be humiliated. Um, but when you look at the attacking stats from that game as well, they are dreadful. And I understand you need to play in transition, you need to do this, you have to stretch the game where you can, but they just didn't attack. They didn't have a chance of winning that game, of scoring a goal, because they just didn't do anything going forward.
Zero
Um,
shots on target.
but
They
like
had,
nothing they from
yeah,
inside the box.
they had
It's,
one shot on target, and that was not counted because it was an offside.
yeah,
So
it's,
to me, it's heartbreaking because I don't want to be the Grinch. I want to have the party that we are having. Switzerland is overly amazed and they're loving and saying it's best ever. This team, it's so amazing. They have such power and so on. And I'm like, yeah, I love them as well. They showed passion like they never did before, and I'm very proud of them for doing that. They had a lot of courage. They poured their hearts out on the field, which they had never done before. But it wasn't a good tournament. And this
No.
game against Spain wasn't a good game. And yeah, you defended well, but Spain also just showed up playing walking football because Spain never run. That's where I actually built up some hope. Actually, in the 60th minute when Pilgrim comes on, I was actually thinking, oh, maybe now we can get something because the football gods are with us. They hit the crossbar, they hit the post, the penalty that doesn't go in, the second penalty that she keeps that she's able to stop. So the football gods were all for Switzerland. But I think Pia Sundhage just wasn't because you could have played the way she played defensively, but instead of having Schertenleib and Benet up front, you can put in Pilgrim and you can just hurl those balls up front and have Pilgrim run for them. Because they did that with Benet, but Benet is just like a quarter of you and an eighth of me. Uh, a slight breeze will knock her off, and Paredes was that slight breeze. So, oh, she was faster than her, but she always caught her, and she just left her hip out, and then she got it. And that's where maybe Pilgrim or Wanderer could have done differently. Player that has more grit as well and a little more physical ability. And I think it's just I need to play my favorite players. Schertenleib had no business starting in this game because she's not good at defending. She's also not the ones running for the ball. And there, I just think we left a chance out, you know, because again, zero shots on target. Even if you didn't get humiliated, it's still not a good result.
No. And Spain concede at the drop of a hat. They've had one clean sheet in their last 11 before that game. Um, they can like everyone can score against Spain. You just have to be smart when you have the ball, and they weren't. And it's so frustrating. Um, because it's the same with when Spain played Portugal, right on match day one, and obviously everything going on in Portugal that team in mourning because of Diogo Jota that day. But like Spain will concede if you're smart about how you get at them. They will concede. Their defense is not good enough, and then Portugal didn't, and then that was their first clean sheet in so long, and then likewise Switzerland. They didn't do anything in the final third. And that's so frustrating because that's where Spain are at their weakest. And then you've got a little bit of a switch off to allow the Atenea goal, and then again Velti stops running after she
Yeah.
thinks she gets fouled
And it
before
was,
Pina
I mean, honestly,
is
those are the two moments Switzerland actually tried to open up and they got hit right away because Spain wasn't running. But if you give them even more space, they will use it. And they scored. And then both goals, I mean, Caligaris and Maritz, and also Velti with the first one, you need to be aware of the ball, even if it's behind you, above you. Be aware. And the Velti one was just, of course.
frustrating.
If it's now she can say if it was with Arsenal that wouldn't have got even there wouldn't have been a goal. But come on, you're Liavalti, you're so experienced. You get a slightest of knock on your back. Don't fucking stop. You know you're not supposed to stop. Carry on that play and then complain. But she
It's
stops and yeah,
yeah, it's I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. Arsenal are one of the worst teams for protesting when they think they get fouled and expecting the referee to blow for a foul, and then the referee does. Arsenal are very, very aggy in that respect, and they get a lot that they shouldn't. Arsenal have incredible quality, but they also get far too much from the referee. And as soon as Velti went down, I was saying to a friend, "Well, that's the Arsenal."
yeah,
Um,
exactly. And then
and
you get
it's just
you give them that 1 yard and they score. And
and
actually, we got
yeah,
lucky that they didn't score more because they were happy after two. And the thing that annoys me the most is She makes three changes in the 90th minute. I mean, you're 2-0 down. What's the worst that can happen? You can get the third one. If you get the third one, go back to defending. Park the bus. But honestly, look for the 2-1. Why not? Why not change earlier? Just just pretend that you want to score a goal. And that's the thing. So Spain are through. They will play a very tired Germany, and we expect to see them in the final next time we speak, right?
Yeah.
But from your perspective, did Switzerland have a great tournament? If we take out the whole
Oh,
fan engagement, the whole emotions, the played sport, was it well done?
they played better than I expected them to.
They played better than anyone expected them to. Is that enough to wanting to be on top of Europe?
It's a start. I don't think Pia was ever the right appointment. I think this is probably as well as you could have hoped to have done. And it is that horrible thing of, well, you've inspired and people have gotten interested in women's football, and then it becomes about so much more than what happens on the pitch. But you have to talk about what happens on the pitch as well. It's the
Exactly.
same. I think we said a lot. A lot of people over here were talking about Wales, or Welsh people, of course, and they're saying Wales, they wanted to win, they wanted to score goals, but the important thing for Wales was about, it's the first domino, right? And it's about inspiring and showing girls at home you can do this, and it's something to build on, blah blah blah. Like, okay, but you also want to win at the tournament. You want to have good moments. You want something to celebrate, not we'll come back to it in 20 years and see what this is. I think kind of same with Switzerland is it's about what they've done, the impact of what they've done off the on the pitch, that will happen off the pitch. But the football, not great. Had some moments, had some moments. But mm,
Again, I think I'm happy with the inspirational part and the whole emotions, and it's really good. But if we compare with Canada 2015, if we compare with Netherlands 2017, France 19, England 22, the difference is all those teams were playing good football.
Canada wasn't.
Canada wasn't,
Canada wasn't that good.
but they beat Switzerland in a
Yeah.
dreadful game. In a dreadful game, but they beat them.
And France 2019, France's best game was their first game as well. Again, they
Exactly.
peaked and they went down.
So that's the thing. The football was there. Yeah, let's take Canada out maybe, but Netherlands played good football and so on, and I think we didn't, and I think that will be long term the price to pay. Because now looking at this performance, do you think it would be enough to get us a World Cup spot? We're starting at League B. We're not
Mm.
starting at because we lost, and that's a huge deficit to start on.
I think the Nations League at least allows you playoff opportunities. So you do have a chance. But I think if you're comparing to the Netherlands, you're comparing to England, even to France, these are teams that have more depth, more quality when they played in those home tournaments. If I remember the Dutch team from 2017 was the midfield was like Hernan Spitzer and Martins, I think, or Van der Donk with Martins, and then Medema, and like it was a solid team. Yes,
Van der
Sarina had her
Sanden.
favorites. Fast Van der Sanden, who scored the opening goal in Utrecht, where
Yeah,
she's from. The romance. I don't think the Dutch were exceptional in that tournament, but they always did what they needed to do, and they had a good enough team. Likewise, England. I think that's the difference with these teams that have won their tournaments is they've had enough on the pitch plus the momentum from the home fans. Switzerland don't have that depth. You've got some fantastic young players, but they're not the finished product.
and that's the issue. Now I think that will be the problem because in half a year's time we will have to play annoying opponents, and in the end, a very difficult playoff game, and that will then not be everyone is happy that you're in a quarterfinal. It will be we expect you to the World Cup, and then an Italy, a Scotland, um, a Belgium. One of those opponents will be very, very dangerous, I think.
Yeah,
Just help me with these two things because today we had our media in a little bit of a frenzy. Pia wants to stay. Apparently, she says she would stay if we give her two assistants full-time position.
that's
Shouldn't
not going
stay,
to improve
right?
the football. That's not going to
Right?
improve the football. She's still going to play in a way that doesn't fit the team. I don't know who you need to bring in as a manager. You keep making weird choices. But you need the right manager for the players you've got. And
Right.
that's not Pia.
I think the right one would be Eric Severac, the bloke who was in charge of Servette for many years, who got them out from the B League up until the main, and then won the double and so on. But you know who has been prying for that job and has been throwing her hat in the ring the whole 2 weeks? And explicitly did it this week and today in all over media.
Uh,
Martina
was
Voss-Tecklenburg.
Tecklenburg.
Oh my God.
No, no,
Right?
no, 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 no.
Please, you agree with
Nine,
me.
nine, 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 nine.
People were like, "Yeah, she's so lovely. She still SMSs the team to tell them
No,
how much." And I'm like, "I was there. Believe me. I did 5 years of Martina Voss-Tecklenburg. It's not worth it. She's not the right one. Don't get her, right?
yeah,
Her time's over. I'm sorry, but it is.
yeah. I mean, like, if you're good, like, you might as well just get Inka Klings back or something. Like, it's not going to work.
Right?
Ah,
And Inca Grings could actually work, I think, because Inca Grings had the problem that she had just a fight with like three people in that locker room, and that was the
yeah,
issue. She had a fight with three people in the locker room. Those people ended up being stronger than Inca Grings. They are now halfway out the door, so you could get Inca Grings back. I wouldn't do it, but Martina, come on, her
yeah.
time's over.
Oh, that definitely not Martina, not Martina.
You can't get an old queen back on the throne. It just doesn't get right. I mean,
I mean, after, oh God, no, no, just no to all of it. No,
I go back to the night we met. That Scotland game.
that's
It
got the
was all
game.
her fault. You
It was not
agree?
good football. It was not good football.
You need a goal, one goal, one goal. You have 80 minutes to score one goal and then you're in the World Cup. And she does three defensive changes. Brings on defenders in the central midfielder. So
Don't get her
Martina
back.
9, huh?
Don't get her back. Uh,
Thank you. I'll clip that because Jesus Christ, people tend to forget because they haven't been around for her time. And now she's very flashy. She's nice as a pundit, but also she's a hypocrite because most of the things she says she doesn't do as a coach. And I've been there for 5 years with Switzerland and I saw her with Germany. Please, Miss Voss-Tecklenburg, stay at home.
Martina Raus.
That's a good way to end this. Sophie, thank you very much for taking the time. We'll see each other after the semifinals, and then we have something to talk about. But unfortunately, I guess Spain, England to look forward to.
Hopefully not, but
We'll
statistically,
see.
yeah, probably.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for listening. Bye bye.